Hello, my name is Marcus and welcome to Tabletop Reviews, where today I'm starting another sub-series. I remember a little while ago I started, I did Solo Week, it's a couple of weeks ago now, which was a sort of sub-series. This one is not going to go by quite as quickly. What I have here is Ticket to Ride, today's review. But I have quite a lot for Ticket to Ride. I don't even have close to everything, but I have a lot. So every other episode of Tabletop Reviews is from now on and until I'm done going to be Ticket to Ride stuff. I'm going to go through all in my collection, and when I'm then done with that, of course, whenever I get one, I'll add it to it. But right now we're looking at going throughout until almost the end of the year with some Ticket to Ride every other episode. But today we're starting off with just basic Ticket to Ride. Also, new setup, new way of filming. I'm trying it out, hoping that it will be really good. But basic Ticket to Ride came out in 2004, I believe. Yeah, I think it was 2004, and then Ticket to Ride Europe in 2005. I do believe that was the order. But anyways, let's get this game set up for 2 players. Just because that's easy enough. You start off by grabbing the central board and placing it in the center. That's why it's called the central board. Then each player selects a color and gets trained. I believe they say 45, but there are 48 in the box. I can't remember how many it is. I just use all of them. They also get a little circle to denote where they're at with points, placing it on the 100, which at the start will be 0. Then you grab all the training cards, shove them up, deal 4 to each player, and then you leave 5 turned face up next to the pile face down. Then you take your tickets, shove them again, deal 3 to each player. Now each player can decide which ones to throw out. Each player though has to keep a minimum of 2. You can throw 1 out if you want. And that's basically the game set up right here for the players, if you want to throw tickets out or not. And you're ready to play. It's the same no matter how many you set up, just gotta distribute more cards and more tickets out to each player. Now the game goes through in various rounds and will end once one of the players only have 3 trains left. Then you have the final round. The other players beside gets the last turn, and then the game ends. Whoever has let me flip over 4. Do correct setup. Whoever has the most points win. How do you achieve points? How do you get rid of your cards? Well, on your turn you can do one of 3 things. One is quite simple. You can draw up to 2 training cards. You can pick any one from the face-up cards, or you can try your luck with drawing from the pile. This of course depends entirely on what you already have on hand and all of that. If one of the face-up cards is a locomotive, and you decide to draw that, that is all you're allowed to draw. Now if you draw from the pile and you draw a locomotive, you can draw another card. But if you choose a face-up locomotive, that is it. You cannot draw any more cards. Then you can place down some trains on the map. All you need to do is to have the amount of of squares or triangles you're going to fill out in whatever color. You need to have the same amount of cards in that color, train cards of that color in your hand. And then for every train you place down, there's a scoring table giving you an little amount of points, which can be seen both as a special card that can be laid in the middle of the table, or on the actual board itself shows you how many points you get for placing whatever amount of trains down. The third thing you could do on your turn is draw up some more tickets. You draw up 3, just like at the start, and of these ones you only have to keep 1. You can keep all 3, you can keep 2, you have to keep 1 of them. And that's how you go through the game. Once someone has 3 left, final turn, game ends. Quite simple. One thing I want to add is, I'm going to talk about that Well, actually, yeah, because of the new setup, I'm going straight to talking about what I think of the game. And one problem is I don't have my computer. I don't have my computer standing with the things I want to say. It's a little bit of a problem that I don't have that one, but let's try and see if I can't do it without. If I can remember all of the things that I want to talk about. Well, let's start off whilst I, in the background, find my document. Let's talk about the gameplay itself, the setup and gameplay, whatever. Obviously, the setup is quite easy. I love the simplicity of it. I love one thing I really love about it is the choice to the luck, right? Because in this particular one, you drop 3 cards. You have to choose 2 in the start, and then after that, you can only choose 2, keep only 1. I love that. That's something I love about Ticket to Ride, is just how like it mixes this luck and choice. Like you can get lucky, drop 3, but maybe you have 1 bad one. Maybe you have 2 that's like, or if you drop 3 again, you just have to keep 1. Maybe 3 are good, maybe 2 are good, maybe just the 1 is good. Maybe they're all bad, and then you are only left with 1 bad one. So basically, that's, I love that choice, and it's the same over here with the cards. You have 5 face up. You have the option of choosing. You can sit there and be like, I don't need 2 purple. I need 2 purple for here. Yay! Or you can sit there and going, it's not really. I needed a red. I want to go here. I needed a red. But there, in this instance, where I have the locomotive out, and it's like, could I take the locomotive? It guarantees me 1 of the 4, or I could draw 2, and maybe I get 2 red ones. Again, this luck to the choice to luck, I think it's brilliant. In terms of the gameplay, I must admit, for a long time I played this incorrectly. Then I played it with someone who had read the rules, because this is the game that introduced me to board gaming. And I was just taught the game by someone. I hadn't read the rules, I was just taught it and I loved it. Then someone came in and he was like, that's not the rules, read the rules. And it's like, oh my god, I've played some of these things very incorrectly. And we tried it and it's still brilliant. The way I have been taught is you can first draw up any cards you want, and then play if you want. In the same turn, you can't. You can only do one thing. And if you completed a route, you just get the new ones. But again, you can't. If you want new cards, you spend a turn doing it. And one thing we've always played with is you can't come clean when you've completed a route, and when you've completed all your routes, you get new ones. And then we kind of played with a rule where, like, in case you get a route you already have completed, then you're not allowed to keep it, because otherwise somebody could draw 10. But again, in the actual game, you will have to spend a turn to get more. So sure, you'll get 3 more, maybe you completed 1 of them. That's nice, that's points. It becomes quite a different game, and I think it becomes a better game when following the rules completely. I think it's very much more a beginner-friendly game. I was about to say Wenly. That's Danish for friendly, and I don't know why I was about to say it. But it becomes much more beginner-friendly if you play it like that. But playing it the other way, I think it becomes a lot more intricate. Very much like, okay, I have to think about how I use my turn, because I can't do everything in one turn. I can do only one thing. Saying that, like, okay, I can complete my little turn over here. But a locomotive, that's tempting. That's probably not going to be the next turn. But is this route going to be the next turn? My opponent has some card down here, has some down here. Are we going the same way? Does he have the card? The balance of that becomes very intricate. It becomes very much more of a thinking man's game, really. What am I going to do in my turn? Very interesting, I think. So, yeah. Very, very interesting. I will mention a few things on Tabletop Europe, which was actually the game I was introduced to. When I do a review of that one, I'll mention some more things I was taught incorrectly. Because to me it's kind of funny that some of the things I was taught incorrectly and I just hadn't read the rules. It's stupid. Anyways, I found the documents. I can remember what it is I have to talk about next. Next up, components. Right. The trains, I think, they're lovely little plastic ones. I don't know, I think maybe in the modern day of gaming, components become quite a lot higher quality. This, in 2004, these were incredibly high quality plastic printed ones, and lovely wooden tokens you use to move around on the board. Quite lovely. And one thing I hate, I'm not a fucking dwarf. That's very offensive. But seriously, what is this? It's half the size of my palm. You've got the fingers on top of that. Teeny tiny cards. I really hate that. That's also one of the things I hate about something like viticulture. I didn't talk about that in my solo. But these teeny tiny cards, what the hell is that? I hate it. I love that Team Night Europe came with actually, yeah, I totally don't have it right here. Came with actually like big enough cards. Because this is a terrible size of cards. It really is. Luckily you don't have to see anything tiny on them. Show this one. It's kind of, it's enlarged here, right? But does that really tell you where it goes? If you look here, I have to go Seattle, Los Angeles. I mean, sure, you kind of know it's up here. Now I've played enough to know Seattle right there, Los Angeles right there. I played enough. But I don't think for a beginner it's very helpful to see those, because it's just kind of, okay, 1 point there, 1 point there, okay, where is that? But these ones, the actual train ones, it screams to you green. You know this is a green one. So, that's... But I just hate the size of the cards. They don't feel good to have in my hand. And they don't look good relying down here. I hate the tiny cards. That's a downgrade for me. Theme, I believe, is the next one to talk about. I love that my phone is turning off. Theme, yes. Theme. The theme, this one, train, route building. Does it file out? Well, it screams in your face when looking here, and I haven't actually done research, so I don't know if any of these routes are real routes. You know, San Francisco to Salt Lake City, is that a real route going somewhat across there, or Little Rock, Nashville? Does it have the twist? I haven't researched that. It would be interesting to quickly Google some of these routes and seeing how they go, if that's realistic. If that is, I have to say, one of the greatest thematic touches I've ever seen, if it's any real at all. I'm sure there is, you know, these routes are real, but the way they move, is that realistic? Who knows? Lovely train cards on all the cards. All the colors are different trains. Just, I don't know how well you can see it, but you know, completely different cards. Some barrels of some sort, passengers. I think this is like animal transport, just a regular transport, different kind of transport. They're all different trains, and I love that touch. In terms of the gameplay, I don't know how much it comes forward. Maybe it does make sense that each card goes well in some routes. Maybe again that is a touch upon, you know, that this is a wide sort of like transport. This is a very often route used very often for animal transport. See, I don't know enough about trains and the train routes of America to know whether this is realistic or not. In terms of that, I choose to believe that it is. But locomotive goes anywhere, and that makes sense that a locomotive is a lot more powerful than just a cart. But I don't know how much the theme comes out. I'm trying to talk well of it. I want to only praise this game because I do love Ticket to Ride. But I don't know how much the theme screams out at me in terms of building this and gaining the points. Somewhat, you know, longer routes are better in terms of points. Sure, if you're a company, you want to have a long route from going all the way from Vancouver to Miami straight ahead, because that's going to give you more customers perhaps. So in that sense, there is a lot of theme, but I don't think theme-wise it screams out at you. If this was plain routes, I wouldn't complain that it wouldn't be different. If it was just, you know, truck transport routes, roads, it has a lot of options. You can see that in the small games where you have horse carts in Amsterdam and taxis in New York, and I think it's buses in London. But the same base game, so it doesn't really matter what it is a route constructing game, and in that term it's quite thematic, I think. But in terms of train route, not very much. Does it lie to you? The big question I always ask, hold on, let me just find the exact, why do they always have to put it on the bottom? Where do we have it? I know it's 2 to 5 players. 8 plus, 30 to 60 minutes. Does it lie to you? Well, 2 to 5, not a lie. I have played this at 2, I've played this at 3, at 4 and at 5. I've played it at all of them and I'll do all of them again. That's a rare thing. I think a lot of games that go for variety, 2 to 5, 2 to 5, 1 to 5 is not a very uncommon one, probably going up to 6. It's not a very uncommon one, but a lot of the ones that say, oh, this is a 1 to 6, this is a 2 to 6, 2 to 5, 1 to 5, these ones that I think are quite normal, they don't work very well at low player counts, but very well high, or the other way around. Or sometimes it's the middle ground that's perfect. Ticket to Ride, I would play at any of the player counts anytime you want. If you are 3 people asking me, what's a great game for us 3 and you to play, so we are 4 players, well, let's play Ticket to Ride. One of them has to leave, well, let's clear his bricks out, shuffle his cards back in, we continue as a 3-player game. I think this is absolutely brilliant at every player count. 8 and up. That's difficult for me to say, because I have not played it with anyone below 10. So it's difficult for me to say. Especially because my aunt, who's 40 plus, has trouble understanding it. But I think it's just around the 8 to 10 range is probably a minimum. There is something, it's not difficult color coordinating, but having to figure out the route from here to here or whatever is a little bit difficult, especially when you have three routes. I've seen plenty of people struggling with 3 routes, being like, oh God. I always play with the game like this, upside down, because my opponent usually sit over here and needed to be like this to figure it out. I'm just better at that kind of stuff, figuring out, okay, that's there, okay, like that. I can kind of figure that out, see if it works out for me. So I think 8 to 10 is quite the correct place to put it. 30 to 60 minutes, in my experience, it's closer to 60 than it is to 30. Sometimes a little bit above. But again, depending on the amount of players. But it's just, it can be a long game, especially because people, they get new routes and they have to sit there and think, where are the routes, where is the best way, can I connect it to my existing route? All this I have to think about. So in my experience, close to 60, sometimes a little bit above, very accurate. Okay, the last 2 are easy. The score, what am I going to give this one? I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Now for me, the cards first of all drag it down. I want to base first of all my ratings on, do I want to play it again? Based on these cards, the answer is yes, but can we please play Europe instead? It has normal size cards. And it's something that I've learned. The small versions I don't mind as much, because it's a small version, you kind of understand it. This is a big version, a very big box. We have large bits of plastic here. There's plenty of room for normal size cards. Annoying. So that drags it a little bit down. But I'm actually ranking it at 8 out of 10 based on other Ticket to Ride games. Yeah, other Ticket to Ride games. Put this one a little bit lower. I will talk about that when I get to those games. But know that this game is the simplest version of Ticket to Ride in terms of gameplay, in terms of scoring. And that for me, oh god, something in my eye, puts it lower. That is why it's lower. Because of other Ticket to Rides bringing up the intensity, bringing up the complication. This one goes a little bit lower for me. 8 out of 10. Am I keeping it 100%? My dream is to have everything Ticket to Ride related, even Macklin, I think it's called, which is something that's not even sold anymore. If I had in the future paid $200 or something for a game, that is it. Not that I haven't already paid 200 plus for a game. Well, I haven't paid 200 for one game. I've played, the most I've paid is 175 for one game and an expansion plus a whole bunch of extras. I've never paid that much. If I ever do pay that much for one game, you can bet your ass it's Macklin. Because I really, really want Macklin. I want everything Ticket to Ride related. And Macklin is the final one in my aims. I'm definitely keeping this one. It's a great game. I can loan it out if I want. Ticket to Ride is just a brilliant game series. But that's it for this review. I hope that the new setup and the new way of talking and the new way I have access to components is gonna work out great. The camera angle is great, as I've tested that now. So I'm hoping that this new setup here will be taking me to that next level. But thank you for watching. Until next time. Bye.